All right, ready to dive into something that trips up a lot of Spanish learners?
Oh, yeah,
The
definitely.
gender.
Oh, the infamous
We're
gender.
going deep on this
That's
today
right.
with Himalara's YouTube lesson.
Always a good source.
And trust me, it's about way more than just like memorizing L and law.
Absolutely. We're talking about grammatical gender,
Uh-huh.
which affects how you use articles,
Yeah.
adjectives, even verbs sometimes.
Oh, wow.
It's really a core part of Spanish sentence structure.
So Jaime, he kicks off with the vocab list, kind of tossing out words like moto for motorcycle and nariz for nose.
Yeah, good examples.
But why is knowing if a nose is masculine or feminine so important?
Well, think of it like this. You wouldn't say a beautiful car and then a beautiful the car, right?
No.
Articles need to match the gender of the noun they're attached to.
Right, right.
So, la nariz bonita for the pretty nose.
Makes sense. But some of these gender assignments, they just seem so random, you know? Like, why is radio feminine? Does news sound inherently girly to Spanish speakers?
Not exactly. It's more about historical linguistics and how the language evolved.
Okay.
But there are some patterns that can help us out.
Huh?
Jaime mentions the rule of Vanaya,
Okay.
where words ending in aje are usually masculine.
Okay, that's helpful. So, like, caraje for carriage would be masculine.
Exactly.
Okay.
But remember, even with these helpful rules, there are always exceptions.
Right.
So the Vanaya ending often signals masculine words like problema,
Yeah.
but then you have la cama for bed.
Oh, so it's not a foolproof system.
Right.
I guess that's where the practice comes in.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of which, Jaime's first exercise has us flipping the gender of words.
Ooh, that's a fun one.
It is. And he throws in some tricky ones like juez for judge, which can be either la jueza or el juez in its feminine form.
And that actually brings up an interesting point. Grammatical gender isn't always about biological sex.
Oh,
It's a system for categorizing nouns. And sometimes those categories overlap, like with professions that can be done by anyone.
so I shouldn't assume that just because a word refers to a woman, it automatically gets a feminine ending.
Right? Context is key.
Okay.
You'd say la doctora for a female doctor, but if you're talking about a doctorate degree, it's el doctorado, even if the person earning it is a woman.
Wow. This is way more nuanced than I thought.
Is, yeah.
Then there are words like nariz, which stay the same regardless of gender.
Yeah, those are the easy ones.
Isas are easy.
Exactly. And some changes are more intuitive.
Okay.
Jaime uses the example of caballo, horse, becoming yegua for mare.
Yeah.
Thank goodness we don't end up with something wacky like caballa, which actually means mackerel.
Oh, that's a relief. Okay, so on to exercise 2.
All right.
Filling in the blanks with the correct gendered words.
Mm-hmm.
And this one feels more like real-world Spanish, using words like alcaldesa for mayor and genio for genie.
And this exercise really gets to the heart of why gender matters. Agree?
Okay.
It's like a linguistic dance.
Okay.
Making sure your articles, your adjectives, your nouns are all on the same page, gender-wise.
So it's not enough to just know the genders of individual words. You have to make them work together in a sentence.
Exactly. If you mess up the gender agreement,
Oh.
it's like wearing mismatched shoes people will notice.
Oh, yeah.
It throws off the whole look, or in this case, the meaning.
All right. No mismatched linguistic shoes for me.
Good choice.
And we have a quick look at animal genders in exercise 3.
Yeah, that's always interesting.
It is. The fact that serpiente, snake, is always feminine, even for males, really surprised me.
It trips a lot of people up.
Yeah.
It highlights that grammatical gender doesn't always have a logical connection to biological sex.
Got it.
It's more about a system of classifying nouns that developed over centuries.
Makes sense.
And it's a good reminder that language learning is full of these little quirks.
Right. It keeps things interesting. All right. On to exercises 4 and 5, which focus on choosing the right article. Ella, una.
Mm-hmm.
It's like suddenly everything clicks into place.
Yeah, that's a good feeling.
It is. Choosing the right article is like the foundation of a grammatically sound Spanish sentence.
Definitely.
Even something simple like estrella, star, gets a feminine makeover, la estrella, when referring to a famous person, even in sports.
Exactly. This nuance shows how context influences gender in some pretty fascinating ways.
Yeah.
It's not about memorizing a list of rules. It's about understanding how they're applied in real-life situations.
I'm definitely starting to see the bigger picture here. It's not just about memorizing vocabulary. It's about mastering a whole system of communication.
Exactly. And mastering gender is a huge step toward fluency.
Okay.
It allows you to create more nuanced and accurate sentences, expressing yourself with greater clarity and sophistication.
Wow, I'm feeling inspired to keep practicing.
That's the spirit.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From vocab and basic rules to tricky exceptions and the importance of context.
Definitely.
What are some of the biggest takeaways you'd want our listener to walk away with?
Well, first, remember that grammatical gender is a system,
Okay.
not just a random set of rules.
Okay.
Second, don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Next point.
They're a part of the process. Everybody makes them.
Right.
And third, practice, practice, practice. The more you use these concepts, the more natural they'll become.
Oh, absolutely.
It's all about repetition.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's worth emphasizing that even though this might seem complex at first,
Sure.
it's totally learnable.
Oh, for sure.
With a little effort and a good sense of humor, anyone can master Spanish gender.
Yeah, absolutely. And the rewards are worth it.
You think so?
Being able to speak Spanish fluently and accurately opens up a world of communication and cultural understanding.
Well said.
Thank you.
Okay, before we move on, I have to ask.
Yeah.
We've been talking about how to use grammatical gender,
Right.
but why do languages even have it in the first place?
That's a fascinating question.
Hold that thought. We'll get
Oh.
into that right after.
break.
I was going to say we'll get into it in the next part.
Even better.
Yeah, much less of a cliffhanger.
Sounds good.
All right, looking forward to it.
Me too.
Hmm.
So back to your question about why languages have grammatical gender.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a linguistic mystery,
I know, right?
But there are some interesting theories out there.
Okay, lay it on me. I'm all ears.
Well, one thought is that it might stem from how our ancestors categorized the world. They might have grouped objects and concepts based on certain qualities. And over time, these classifications kind of became embedded in the language as grammatical genders.
So, like, maybe they saw sharp things like swords and arrows as masculine,
Yeah, could be.
and round things like fruits and the moon as feminine.
That's one possibility. Of course, it's much more complex than that.
Right.
Different languages have different systems.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Some have only 2 genders, others have 3 or more,
Wow.
and some have none at all.
No gender.
Nope.
Wow, so even the concept of gender itself varies across languages.
It really does.
That makes me wonder, does having grammatical gender actually change how people think? Like, if you grow up speaking a language with gendered nouns,
Yeah.
do you see the world differently?
That's a question that has fascinated linguists and psychologists for a long time.
I bet.
There's some research that suggests it might have subtle effects
Okay.
on how people perceive objects and concepts.
Interesting.
For example, studies have shown that speakers of gendered languages, they tend to associate certain personality traits with objects
Really?
based on their grammatical gender.
So in Spanish, a bridge, el puente,
Yeah.
might be seen as strong and sturdy because it's masculine,
It's possible.
while a flower, la flor, might be seen as delicate and beautiful because it's feminine.
Exactly. But it's important to remember that these are just tendencies,
Right.
not hard and fast rules.
Got it.
And cultural factors play a huge role in how people perceive the world, too.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's not like speaking Spanish automatically makes you think bridges are male and flowers are female.
Yeah.
It's more about these subtle associations that might influence your perception.
It's like how we use metaphors in English.
Yeah.
Calling a difficult task an uphill battle doesn't mean we literally have to climb a mountain.
That's a great analogy. Language is full of these symbolic layers.
Yeah.
And
And how much there is to learn about other ways of communicating.
it's a journey of constant discovery.
It really is.
And the more you explore, the more you realize how interconnected languages and cultures truly are.
Well said. And I bet our listener is feeling just as inspired
I hope so.
to keep digging deeper into the world of language learning.
I think there's always something new to discover.
So, as we kind of wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Sure.
let's leave our listener with a final thought to ponder.
Okay, I like that.
What's something that has really stuck with you?
About Spanish gender?
Yeah, or grammatical gender in general.
For me, it's the realization that language is much more than just a tool for communication. It's a reflection of our history, our culture,
Yeah.
and even our cognitive processes.
Wow.
And grammatical gender, with all its quirks and complexities,
Mhm.
it's a testament to that.
That's a great point.
They think so.
It reminds me that even seemingly small aspects of language
Yeah.
can reveal these profound insights into how we think
Mm.
and how we understand the world around us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by embracing those complexities,
Yeah.
we can enrich our understanding
Uh-huh.
of not only other languages,
Okay.
but also our own.
Beautifully said. Okay, I'm still kind of buzzing from that last point.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing.
It's amazing to think about, you know, how much history and culture are baked into
Yeah?
something as seemingly basic as grammatical gender.
Yeah, it really highlights how language is constantly evolving,
Right.
adapting,
Yeah.
reflecting the changing world around it.
So I guess the big question now is where do we go from here? What's the takeaway for our listener who's maybe like just starting to wrap their head around Spanish gender?
Well, I think the biggest piece of advice is don't get discouraged.
Okay, good advice.
It's a complex system,
Right.
and even native speakers make mistakes.
Oh, that's comforting to hear.
Yeah, it happens to everybody.
So it's more about progress, not perfection.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Embrace those stumbles as learning opportunities.
Yeah.
The more you practice, the more those patterns will just start to click into place.
So what are some practical steps our listener can take to like really solidify their understanding?
Well, first, I'd say pay attention to the genders of nouns as you encounter them.
Okay.
Don't just memorize the word itself.
Uh-huh.
Learn its gender as well.
So like making flashcards with la casa instead of just casa.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to use those handy rules.
Right.
Like the rule of age.
Yeah.
But also be aware of the exceptions, right?
Great, because no rule is perfect,
That's right.
as we learned.
Exactly.
Okay, so pay attention, use the rules. What else?
Second, make a conscious effort to apply those gender rules
Okay.
in your speaking and writing.
Right.
Pay attention to how articles, adjectives, even verbs change,
Yeah.
depending on the gender of the noun.
So even if you mess up, the act of trying helps reinforce the concept.
Exactly. The more you practice, the more natural it will become.
I love that.
It's all about building those neural pathways,
Yeah.
one L and la at a time.
And finally.
Finally, immerse yourself in the language as much as possible.
Ooh, yes.
Read Spanish books,
Okay.
watch Spanish movies,
Uh-huh.
listen to Spanish music.
I like it.
The more you surround yourself with the language,
Yeah.
the more intuitive those gender rules will become.
So it's not just about studying grammar rules in isolation. It's about like experiencing how they work in real life context.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is, the more you immerse yourself,
Yeah.
the more you'll pick up on those nuances
Uh-huh.
and exceptions that make language so fascinating.
This has been such an insightful conversation.
It has.
I feel like I've not only learned a lot about Spanish gender,
Yeah.
but also gained a deeper appreciation for the
Yes.
complexities of language itself.
Me too. I hope our listener feels empowered
To keep going.
to continue their language learning journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
With a renewed sense of curiosity and confidence.
To our amazing listeners out there, keep those brains engaged.
Keep learning.
Keep those ears tuned to Spanish.
And most importantly,
Yes.
keep having fun with it.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, language learning is all about connecting with the world around us
That's right.
in new and meaningful ways.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, that's a wrap for this deep dive.
Until next time.
Until next time, adios.